Woodstock, Cape Town, South Africa. Greatmore Studios is part of the community here. These two houses are home to a constantly changing experience within a community of working artists. A group of South Africans works here, besides several international artists who have come to Greatmore under a revolving residency program. Their common purpose is to create, to learn from each other, to move beyond the self, extending the boundaries of their own artistic disciplines to an understanding of their different worlds, and to work for a better society through an engagement in community outreach programs.
For me, Greatmore Street is a place that's really making its mark in the art world. The artists are really hardworking, and for the past 2 years I've seen a big exodus of artists, moving in and out and beginning to travel a lot. The list is actually so long of people who really want to be associated with Greatmore Street.
The South African artists have a year's tenure over their studios, while the international artists come for 3 intense months, but they are all drawn by a unique sense of interaction.
For me, it's the people I'm meeting here, not only South Africans, but also from Europe, from the Caribbean. And so that's fascinating to see their reaction to the situation here and their reaction to other people's work here. What I would say what's so special to me about what's going on here is this incredible melting pot of different cultures and different influences. And I think that's something very special here.
Coming to South Africa, with all its history and its politics of today, and intermingling with the artists and walking the streets and then finding and talking to other people, you get a deeper understanding of how people have, handling all these things.
It's a living art project. You don't come here to make your work and that's it. It's interest between the artist. You speak with other artists, you come to discussions and you speak with the people around. So it's an open, very inspiring.
Just talking with people who are doing the same thing as you, it lifts you up. Especially if you are a full-time artist and you depend on the money, you have the will to keep going again.
Getting to know different people, different cultures, people from different places, you realize how different everybody is and how very similar we all are. You're learning all the time. So when I come into my studio, I'm not by myself. When I want to go outside my studio, I've got a lot of like-minded people to interact with.
It's great, the fact that you do have your own space and you can isolate yourself, but then you just have to open the door and you can wander off into the rest of the space, and I love that.
A lot of cultural exchange happens, opens one's mind to grow further than where you are. I mean, that's the most fulfilling experiences that one gets from the visiting artists.
The view of a wider world extends beyond the studios, into the community.
Yeah, if I wasn't here, I wouldn't have met so many people coming from different parts of the world, different backgrounds they are coming from. I tell them about my culture and they tell me about their culture. And it inspires me a lot, makes me want to paint.
Greatmore's outreach program takes many forms, but it has one aim: to help build a better society through creative experience.
I'm a sculptor. I've been a teacher for 10 years and I also do art classes at Valkenburg Psychiatric Hospital, so I'm very used to sharing my skills with groups of people.
A lot of these kids haven't been exposed to this particular kind of setting. Different worldview, the worldview is very limiting. And often it's just the contact with people who are different.
When you make something, it's just really amazing to see it in a different material, to see it in plaster or something. And doing their own foot is very special, to look at the foot in terms of journeys.
That's the cross, and that's my toes, of course. And this is the church I go to, and that's the letter of my name.
I took a red paint and I painted the toenails, and then I took a yellow and I made a sun, and then I just took green and red, and now I'm done.
Chanel's creation.
Isolation, I think, is important in that you want your studio space that you feel safe in. But then you also want to come together and talk. You want that community. You can have your space, but we can make that meeting place on the internet itself. So people can begin to see and talk to each other about what is happening. You know, it's just allowing people to connect.
It's all about networking, just giving people an entry into the artistic arena, just providing that sort of rigorous exchange and of ideas, just to challenge artists, just to, you know, get them into the know of what's happening. We'd like to see it go into sort of a forum, an art, you know, a South African art forum.
Personally, I don't think that art can survive without a business platform, because the business platform is like the foundation. If you don't have a strong administrative basis, you know, with the accountability of it, then there's no real success behind the artist. It was quite an interesting challenge to be able to draw that line between business, the rigidity of business, and the fluidity of the creative spirit.
Every year, Greatmore coordinates the Tupello workshop. The experience moves beyond South Africa, embracing artists who represent both the developed world and the cultural richness of a wider continental Africa.
The workshops need to contain the artists, but the artists within the workshop also contain one another, and that is essentially what it's about, to interact with your own work, to internalize your own work, to have time to reflect without distraction, and then to be able to use other artists as sounding boards in a very empathetic environment. And as the time goes by, people settle into a rhythm, they become more experimental and more creative, and they break down barriers, they let go of their old habits or their old skills, and new things emerge.
The workshop gives me an opportunity to discover things for myself. Every Tupello has its own dynamic, and we find new things to say. This is the kind of dynamic that happens other than physically making art. And I think that is so important for the development, for the growth of the artist and for art as a whole.
I've always painted at school, and I've always had a passion in painting, and I've been engaging with the part-time classes, community arts projects, and different workshops here and there. And mostly here it's well-experienced artists, and I'm like landing on this kind of zone of having these wonderful people here. So I think it's impacting on a very positive aspect for my art practice.
To be able to work in a kind of space where there's so many people from really very different backgrounds and who have very different points of view and very different ways of working and especially ways of thinking about art.
Something new should come from Africa. All other parts of the world have kind of shown what they're made of. Now we also need to come up and show what we're made of.
Through the work of its community of artists, Greatmore Studios and the Tupello workshops reflect a powerful view, an African perspective of our new world. A vision which begins here, at Greatmore. Greatmore Studios, Cape Town, South Africa.
Thank you.